72.
I'd come to our meeting in Colorado in a couple weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Becky, oh, she got it.
All right, Chris, Aaron, and Molly, you are welcome to get started. I think we have almost everybody in here.
You want me to start? I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to part 2 of our know before you go. Go ahead and put in the chat where you're from. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we should do some introductions of, we're not really a panel per se, but we should just probably introduce ourselves as we're moderating. But my name is Chris Huang. I am the registrar at Purdue Fort Wayne in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'll pass it over to Erin to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Erin Mason. I am registrar at Ball State University. Thanks for your time today, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Molly McDermott Fallon, Assistant Vice Provost and University Registrar at the University of Cincinnati.
Well, we're glad to be back. Thank you for coming back. And this is a pretty informal session. If people have questions, you're welcome to put those in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, unmute, we'll make sure we get I think the main goal is just to make sure that we get your questions answered that you might have about anything and anything and everything related to ACRO annual meeting in Aurora. So usually we just need one brave soul to kind of kick us off, right?
Hello.
Okay, I'll be
Yep.
the brave soul.
All right, yay. Yay, Jessica.
It feels like a very silly question, but it's a question. So I'm gonna, and I put in the chat, I am not a first timer, but it's been over 25 years since I've attended. And I'm sure things have changed, and I'm wondering about things like meals and are we on our own for everything? What about the welcome reception? That kind of stuff.
That's a good question. Thank you. Yes, you are on your own basically for meals at the opening reception. I think from what I recall, and it's good to have Becky on the phone too, just in case I say something that is incorrect. But from previous times, usually you're escorted after the opening session. You're kind of walking over to the exhibit hall where the vendors are. And usually there's a couple of stations in the middle and on the sides where there's food, there's receptions that are there, and that's free. But if you want drinks, that's on your own. They'll probably have water or pop or soda depending on where you're from, or Coke depending on which part of the country you're from. But if you want something more of an adult beverage, that would be on your own. And then there's vendor receptions. Usually like on Mondays as well, sometimes on Sundays. Those are usually free of charge. The vendor pays for everything. So that's another way to kind of get some food. That's at least what I recall. So anybody can jump in and.
I'll
correct me.
add a little bit more. Hi, I'm Becky with Acro. Glad to see all of you here. So the opening reception will definitely have some light kind of cocktail party-ish things to eat, but it will not be full dinner. So if you're you may want to still plan to have dinner that night. And I wish that they were providing the soda for free, but they're not. So water stations are available, but it will be cash bar on Sunday night, but that's open to everybody. And then Monday and Tuesday, there are breaks in the exhibit hall in the morning and in the afternoon after the general session that again, there'll be some lighter kind of snacks and coffee type things happening in the exhibit hall. And then also on Monday and Tuesday, there are international. On Tuesday is what we call the international luncheon. And on Monday, it's our professional and graduate schools luncheon. Those are ticketed events, but they do include a plated lunch. And if you want to add that to your registration, you can log in to the registration portal, how you originally signed up for the meeting, and click manage registration. And then you can click, I think it's purchase new sessions. And then from there, if you want to add things like a luncheon or a workshop, that can be added there. And then here's a hot tip. We do have some special focus groups happening that are part of the CLR LER learning community. They're doing a luncheon on Monday and then a breakfast and a luncheon on Tuesday that will be presentations. And so you can register for those right on the Acro website, and they are complimentary, but there is a limited number allowed and you do need to pre-register. So, oh, looks like someone put something in the chat. Oh, no, maybe not. So if you're kind of looking for other things and places to eat, if you go to the Acro website where it says special events, workshops and special events, and look for, there's information about the ticketed luncheons, the international and the professional graduate studies, and there's information about the CLR LER learning community events, which you can like click a link and register for right from the website. So that is a lot of words about food at the events. And the hotel does have restaurants and things that are on site. There's like a Starbucks type marketplace that's got like grab and go type sandwiches. And then they're going to set up on Monday and Tuesday what they're calling activations, which is to a civilian kind of a pop-up, lower cost lunch options. It could be, we're not final on the menus from them yet because it depends on them, but maybe it could be like pizza lunch or barbecue sandwich lunch or a grab and go kind of a turkey sandwich lunch. So much more like a grab and go, not sit down and tip a waiter, but stand in line and get some lunch. So that's also planned for, as the hotel likes to call it, a group our size. So that's what's happening for food. And there's not really restaurants that are walkable from the hotel unless you're a walker, right? So if you're a walker, within like 15-20 minutes, there's restaurants that are more into Aurora that are like more like your Applebee's and your pho and different things. Or, you know, you can Uber and do different things to get to restaurants for the dinners and for whatnot. So does that answer a little more? Is there anything else on food that I can answer for you?
In the first session, I know Molly had mentioned she has used Instacart in the past to great success for, you know, or maybe stop at a grocery store too, if you want to just bring in some essentials, and also bring a reusable water bottle. That's often a good tip. I usually carry like a bottle or a Brita filter one with me on any trip, so I can drink the water pretty much anywhere. And that's a little traveler's trip that I think can be really useful.
And I can confirm that all of the guest rooms at the Gaylord do include a mini fridge. Even a standard room, it's not an upgrade. There are mini fridges in all of the guest rooms. So save your leftovers is what I'm trying to say.
I'll also add, many of the state and regionals have a dinner on Tuesday night that you may be getting from your state and regional listserv. So keep on a lookout for that.
I think next question, it looks like, was for Jessica Wallace. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
So our institution, this is brand new for our institution, and we're actually post-secondary LPN program. And I am the first registrar they've had in forever. And I've been a registrar before, but I'm wondering what, if anybody knows off the top of their head, what classes could benefit sort of higher ed. I know that sounds confusing, but we're sort of caught in the middle between trade school and higher education. So we're classified as post-secondary. And since we're a nursing school, we have all the accreditation that they would need for school. But I'm kind of just right in between everything. So I wasn't really sure when I was looking at the classes, what would some of them, like medical professional classes, I think are more geared towards medical universities and things like that. So I didn't know if there were institution type classes that might be able to help policies and things like that, because this place was sort of a FERPA nightmare when I got here, and we're on the right track. We have no policies or anything written down, so I'm trying to develop those as clearly and concisely as you can, and it's just not getting very far.
I think there's a lot embedded in that. Just for those who haven't yet been to the search page, the Whova app will be emailed out and announced on March 13th. For now, it sounds like you're already familiar, but just for the group, there's the meeting at a glance in the session galleries on the ACRO page that you can search. But I think that one of the things that I, kind of coming from a different perspective, have learned over the years going to ACRO is I was at a large flagship public R1 institution. And so I was always looking for like-minded friends from that perspective. And then I got thrust into a situation where I had to very quickly learn the medical and dental curriculum to work with 2 schools affiliated with my larger flagship institution. And so I went to a lot of policy stuff, and I went to some things to meet other friends who worked with medical and dental populations. While it wasn't directly relevant to what I necessarily did, I definitely found friends that I could commune with, and I have gotten to know over the years and have still stayed in touch. So, I mean, I think you're right to look at your FERPA stuff, anything where medical and dental is. I also think I've had great success with apps in the past saying, like, I am new to this medical dental thing. Would anybody be willing to meet me for a coffee? And so network and use your social media platforms to your advantage, because I bet there's other people in there who may not be doing the same job and in the exact same situation as you, but who may be able to help provide support and connect you to others. So I think this is a great opportunity for you to come and network. And use some of the resources available. We're all in such different situations, but I think you'll find a lot of friends here who are also potentially overwhelmed by all of the things on their plates and can connect you to other people as well. I don't know if anyone else has advice on that. That's a great question that is really nuanced, but I think there's some good policy stuff that you can take away from any session that may be able to be set, sort of like right size for your school.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Erin was saying in this, when you search in the session gallery, you can search by keywords. So like roundtables, there's probably a lot of different roundtables, which is always a good way to network. I just went in there and just typed in medical and said, there's a roundtable for medical school registrars. I know that might not be exactly your cup of tea with a nursing school, but I mean, they work in that same profession. So that could be something to check out. You can also search by, if you know a presenter or just the title of the session, or even the session ID. So once you see the app, you'll see numbers in terms of session IDs. Those are other ways to search within the session gallery that's online right now.
Okay, so if not to monopolize our time, but if I sit in on something that maybe it doesn't pertain specifically to our school, but it has people I might network with, that's still okay, right? I don't have, like, I saw the medical professional school and I was like, oh, that could be interesting. But I was like, well, I don't know if I'll have anything to contribute, but I can absorb everything else. So, but thank you for the tips. That's great.
There's something that I want to highlight that you just said is, one of the things that I have loved and has also been a little bit painful about going to professional conferences of any kind is I always feel like I go and I feel like, oh, these people are doing these amazing things that I can't do. But the beauty of that is I'm doing amazing things that other people aren't aware of, and we can all sort of share and learn and grow. And so I don't want you to go and feel this pressure, like I'm not going to be this great contributor, because for somebody you are, and somebody is going to be that for you. And so I think that if you I always try to reframe it for myself, like this is a place where I'm learning and growing, and I don't have to be the expert here like I do on my campus. I'm here to network. I'm here to meet people who I can rely on as I move forward in my career. And I have, as I moved to the Midwest and took a registrar position, definitely called some of my acro friends in the past. So Jessica, I'm excited that you're vulnerable and you're coming here, but please know everyone else is coming here to learn and grow too. And it's going to be worth your time, even if you can't find, 10 things that are exactly the same as your situation. It will spark your thinking. And I think if you meet people and talk to them, and Chris, Molly, and I are already your automatic friends, it will start like planting little seeds in your brain, and it will help you go forward. So kudos to you for coming and being the first person in your institution in a while to hold that position.
I had actually a little bit different spin on your question though, Jessica. I took it as, well, if you go to a session and it's not what you're looking for, you can certainly just politely exit stage left and go to another session. We're not taking attendance here. And because sometimes there's competing sessions that you're like, oh, these are two that at least for me, I'm like, oh, these are two really great sessions. And I go to one, I'm like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or it's not as relevant. And you can always just go to another session at that time. So
I did run into that looking at the schedule. I was like, man, that sounds interesting, but maybe I should be taking this. So I did kind of see that. So it's nice to know that there's a little bit of flexibility if I can't,
this,
like I
said,
feel
no
it's
one's
really-
taking attendance.
Got it.
So, you're free to roam. So I hope that helps.
Very
I saw another hand raised, but then maybe it was lowered. So, Liz, I guess I see your hand now.
Okay, I don't know if mine was the hand you originally saw, but I'll take it. I had a couple of things. Somebody mentioned in the last, first attendees thing, and I think it bears repeating, kind of the dress code or suggestions for maybe the rooms being cold. And I was kind of interested in if there are suggestions for first-time people, other things that we might want to pack that maybe we didn't think of on our own list besides business cards, because I always seem to forget those. And I did notice too, there's some of us, like in my group, who couldn't find space at the Gaylord for one of the nights of the conference, and we're staying at alternate hotels. A lot of the alternate hotels offer a shuttle that will take you to the Gaylord. So just throwing that out there. Anyway, that was my question, was about the dress and other items to pack.
Yeah, I'll kind of go over the dress, I guess. It's business casual. I would absolutely 100%, I pushed this in the last one, I'm going to push it again. Wear comfortable shoes. If you count your steps, you will not have a problem hitting that 10,000 step count, because you are going to do some walking. So I made the worst mistake on my very first acro, and I tried to wear heels for an entire day. And let me tell you, that was a mistake. Wear the comfy shoes. I would bring a light sweater. Some of the conference rooms have a tendency to be a little bit chilly, but then when you go into the larger vendor area, it warms up. So it's nice to be able to take off the sweater. I'm also a big pushing water. So bring a refillable water bottle, because while we're going to be at a higher elevation, you're going to want that water, and there are water stations available. So those are really big pieces. I would also bring a snack in your purse or your bag or whatever, just if you're in a session, you're like, oh, I really would like a snack of something, but I don't want to wait in line, have a snack available. And then something to take notes on, however you take notes, if that's on a surface, on a piece of paper, on your phone, just be able to take session notes would be a big piece, which I would bring when I go to conference.
One thing I would recommend, if you have it, is an external battery to recharge your phone. A lot of times the outlets in the walls are already used for other things. So if you're planning to have a laptop going or a cell phone going, definitely if you have an external battery that can at least give you another charge without having to run to your room, that's something that I would recommend.
And
And
tissues, bring tissues.
just a question that was in the chat, just wanted to highlight it. It's just if there's a school spirit day, usually Wednesdays tends to be that day during the conference where people wear their school spirit type stuff and then jeans, because usually that's the last day of the conference and people are maybe heading out. In the evenings, people will sometimes change into jeans or something more casual to go to the different receptions. You don't have to. And at the receptions, you'll see people who just stay in their business casual all throughout the day. And business casual is different for different people. So you will see people that are still in jeans and a nice top, whatever. But you also still, like, some bored people will probably be in some suits and that type of stuff. So you're going to see the gamut of that. So just whatever you're comfortable with, just look decent, I guess is how I would look at it. Acro's not really like a fashion police, at least from what I've seen. But maybe Becky knows more insider stuff than I do.
Usually presenters are dressed, you can kind of tell when someone's presenting, you'll be like, wow, you look nice. And they'll be like, well, I'm presenting. So that's really, if you're presenting, I would say it's maybe one notch up from business cash, but that's all I would add.
Hey, this is Christine. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I unmuted my phone. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my Zoom to work.
We can hear you.
We hear you, Christine.
Okay. Oh, awesome. So I missed the first session last week, so this might be a redundant question. I apologize for that. But do sessions fill up so that you won't be able to attend a certain session that you're looking at, or have you guys run into that before? They will close the session because it's too full?
Yes, I would say when you look at your sessions, always have a backup in the event that it closes, or the one that you thought you were going to find really valuable isn't working for you. The FERPA sessions always fill. In the last few years, compared to when I first started, the government relations sessions tend to fill. The plenaries, of course, fill. I mean, who doesn't want to see like BD Wong or Roxanne Gay? That's pretty amazing. So I would say that things do fill up. But as long as you have a backup that you're aware of, you'll be fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is, and I had another question and I just forgot it, so that's okay. Thank you.
We put the FERPA sessions in the biggest rooms we have, and I always have to shoo the people that are all standing along the back out, unfortunately, because we're not allowed to have people standing because it breaks fire codes and different things. So that's yeah, get there early if you want to hear Leroy Rooker is probably the tip.
Yeah, sessions are first come, first serve. So just be mindful if there's something you're really excited about. I think another one that's going to be big this year is like the FAFSA one, because there's so many different talks in the field about that.
That one's in the general session room, actually, and it is unopposed.
Yeah.
So lots of seating for FAFSA. Mm-hmm.
So I think that, yeah, it's not like some conferences which require you to pre-register and be in a track and go to that specific one. It is like a first come, first serve. And obviously, we'll know who's interested in which sessions by what is in the app, but it's not like a ticketed type event.
I would also say, don't be overwhelmed if you walk into a room and there's a camera. You're going to see a camera because it's going to be streaming to our colleagues at home who are attending virtually. So just don't be overwhelmed when you walk in, because it's a large camera at times when you walk in.
Just to make sure to be very, very clear, though, not every session will have a camera or be live streamed. There's 3 rooms that will have all the cameras and the extra people and whatnot, but not every session.
Someone mentioned that Reg 101 is filled for the conference. Please note that there's also an an online version of that you can register for. So I had a couple of staff who, for budgetary reasons and family reasons, couldn't attend ACRO this year, but we're still having them do Reg 101 online. And there are other online learning opportunities that you can still sign up for. So if you saw that Reg 101 was closed and you were hoping to get it in this year, either register for it next year in Columbus or try one of the online versions, which also has the convenience of being able to kind of attend that from the comfort of your own home or workplace.
And I think
I just
also
took that
like a
Reg 101.
workshop. Go ahead.
I just took that Reg 101 online, and it's really, really good. So if anybody hasn't taken that yet, it was excellent. And I see that a Reg 102 or 201 was opened back up again because it was sold out when I registered. So I was super excited to see that it's available again.
Yeah, so we got a bigger room, and we were able to open about 10 more seats for that Reg 201. And you can, if there are still seats, you can add it by logging back into your portal, and then you can click like next to your name on the row. There's your little row, and there's 3 little dots. And you click the 3 little dots, purchase new session, and you can add a workshop or add a luncheon or add the state and regional workshop. If you're one of them, that's all available there. Yeah, we got a bigger room because it was high demand.
Yeah,
and we've been working
I
with
actually
people.
got one of those 10 seats.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, so I was super excited.
That's
I'm coming from the Naval Community College. We are brand new. I am literally their first registrar they've ever had. So we are, when they say building the plane as we're flying it, that's pretty much what we're doing. So I'm super, super excited to come and learn from other people and network and learn about some things that might work and things that might not work. So super excited.
I do want to clarify, when we responded earlier about first come, first serve sessions, there are pre-conference workshops on that Sunday that are ticketed, that are at additional cost, and that do sell out. And that's some of the conversation you're hearing about Reg 101 and Reg 201. So those ones you really do have to be registered for. But once the conference starts, it really is like first come, first serve, with some exceptions like Becky just mentioned. So just to clarify for those of you who are new, there are typically, ticketed additional workshops that you can take advantage of maybe next year, or still have time to register if they're not sold out. But otherwise, the advice still stands for the majority of the conference sessions.
Any other questions that people have?
So on your app that you say is coming out on the 13th, will you be able to like put in your schedule for the sessions that you want to take, or will you just, the best advice would be just to write everything down that you want to attend?
You'll be able to create a schedule. So there's a section in the app that's called Agenda, and you can search the agenda by tracks. Like you can click the tracks to see, hey, I want to see admissions and recruitment, or I want to see everything that's international, or I want to see everything that's CLR, LER community. And you can filter a little bit because there's like 200 sessions. There's a lot of sessions, right? So you can filter with the tracks, or you can even search a presenter's name. You can search, you could just type military, and it'll filter down to anything that has military in the title of the session, not the description, but the actual title of the description. And then you can click, there's a little button that says add to my schedule. And you can kind of heart sessions to add to your schedule. And then there's a different little icon on the app that's my schedule. And it'll show you the ones that you've selected. And you're allowed to select more than one per time slot. So like what Erin was saying about the backup, it doesn't limit you to one per time slot. So it's a nice way to organize yourself a little bit. And you can also do your session feedback from that same place in the app. When you're in the app, there's deliver session feedback, a little evaluation at the end of each one. that's good for the presenters to get after the meeting. So we highly encourage you to remember to do your session evaluations, just like your professors want from all their classes. But yeah, so that's in the app. Organizing yourself.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, and there's also the sessions are mapped like a little floor map. Like you can click location and it'll zoom in on a floor map of the convention center to show you where the room is because there's a lot of rooms. So
saw this comment in the chat, but I wasn't sure if this was a question. But Rachel, congratulations on getting the Connors Scholarship. I don't think there's anything that you have to register for as a part of receiving that scholarship. I don't know if that was part of the question. I'm just kind of speculating here, but I don't think that getting it means that you have to go to specific sessions.
I think one of the things that can be confusing for newcomers, and even some of us who have been involved with ACRO, is that we break our sessions down by groups. And so if you're a registrar person, you're probably doing some searching by like group 3 records and academic services. You can do that now in the sessions. That doesn't preclude you from going to other things. It just kind of helps you categorize and focus and hone in on what you want to. You may be taking on transfer work too, and so you might want to go to one that contains information on transfer. So I'm going to paste the groups in the chat for you so you can kind of see how the information's categorized, because I think that's what Becky was referring to when we talk about tracks. I'd also like to highlight that ACRO has a lot of caucuses, and I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with them, but if you want to attend any caucus meetings to learn about how to get involved with those, they fall under group 5, access and equity. So I'm just gonna put that in the chat right now so you kind of know how you can potentially search tracks if you're trying to like hone in on specific information or events.
And circling back to Rachel about your questions about the Connors Scholarship, I have our Director of Communications who helps with that engaged, and she's going to reach out to you, Rachel, to make sure that all of your questions are answered about the Connors Scholarship while you're there.
And just a general question too. So this Q&A webinar is being recorded. And so after a while, you can go back and click on the link, but the button still says register, even though it's under archive. So if you click on the button to register, enter your information, that will allow you to proceed into the recording. So that's just how it works. It can be a little confusing sometimes because it looks like it's still, I have to register for an archived, event, but for ACRO purposes, yes, because of how it's set up.
I do want to take a minute while you're thinking of more questions for us to plug our Sunday event from March 3:15 to 4:30. It's Attend ACRO Experience, a live event, and it's open to first-time attendees, and it provides you with an opportunity to network and engage with others. Really cool this year, we are having a group called Song Division on site, and they will be sort of mixing and mingling to get ideas about ACRO as you learn about it and to create a song for us. And so if you're interested in that, that's on Sunday. And we're really excited to have an interactive element like Song Division added to this event, but it's a great place to get to know other first-time attendees, people who are affiliated with caucuses, state and regionals, a lot of the other things ACRO has to offer, like podcasts and consulting and publications and research. And so if you are able to come on Sunday, it's at 3:15. We're very excited. If not, there's a session on Monday, I think. Let me look it up here. Sort of what to, in case you missed it. And so it's an opportunity for you to take advantage of time with people to orient yourself with ACRO in the annual meeting, and they'll cover nuts and bolts. And then finally, Wednesday, there's a first-time wrap-up, because some of us have been going for years. I think my first ACRO was like in 2012 in Philadelphia. And so we always want to hear from our first-time attendees about all of the things that worked, or questions that you had, or sessions you'd like to learn more about or see in the future. And so we would appreciate you attending that if you're available. But there's a couple of different touch points throughout the week where you can meet other first-time attendees and learn about ACRO in the conference.
Aaron, I'm not sure what you said that made me think of this, but also just to say out loud, you don't have to be a member of a caucus yet to attend the caucus meeting at the annual meeting. So if you're interested in just learning more or meeting people, you can go to a caucus meeting without learning the handshake or any of those things. And you don't, and the caucuses are all inclusive. I mean, if you're an ally, go to the LGBTQIA plus caucus. If you're interested in diversity, go to the Black caucus. If you're a feminist, go to the women's caucus. Like everyone is, we're not trying to keep people out of those caucus meetings. So just also plugging those as well.
From the last time, one of the things I forgot to mention at the webinar last week was if you go to the plenary sessions, there's usually mic stands because there'll be they save a couple of minutes at the end for Q&A. So if you're brave enough or have a question that you want to ask, just step up to the mic and ask your question. Also, I think if you're presenting a session that is live stream, I think if they get questions from the audience, I think they want people to just ask the question into the mic for the recording purpose so that people who are listening can hear that, obviously people in the room can kind of hear it, but those that are listening online won't be able to hear the question. So if you're presenting a session that is going to be live streamed, just a couple of little tidbits that way.
I posted information on the caucuses in the chat. Some of you may have been to your state and regional conferences or you're actively involved, but not yet have been to ACRO. State and regionals do have events typically on Tuesday night. And so I posted a link there so you can see, what state or regional your state or institution might fall into in case you're interested. Is there a way to get involved in the committees? Yes, we would love that. There is a session at ACRO about getting more involved, but I will post the link to information about committees. That's how many of us sort of started getting involved with ACRO. I'll be really honest, I am a pretty introverted person who tends to be really shy. But I was in charge of Title IV compliance at a large public institution and the largest one in my region. And so I came to ACRO and I knew I didn't want them to cut the budget on me and not send me every year because I liked what I saw and it was so valuable to the, my success and growth and development at the institution. So the way that I did that was by getting involved in a PAC, which is stands for what? Professional activities. What is that committee? Okay, good. The nomenclature is even hard for me. And that's a group that meets on the Sunday and talks about session planning for the annual meeting and what we'd like to see and attempts to, get speakers and sessions submitted. There's many different ways you can get involved with ACRO. Some of it, a caucus is a great way to get involved with ACRO. If you want to do something a little bit different, the session planning is always really fun with the PACs. I'll post a link about getting involved, but we were talking before, that could be its own webinar. But if anyone has questions for people on this call that you see here today, feel free to ask them. But yes, we love new members and we love new people who are involved and are excited about it. So I'll post a little information for you, but feel free to ask more specific questions while I do that.
And there'll be a little handout at the ACRO booth and at Experience ACRO that'll have some QR codes that you can read more about how to join and how to get involved. So lots of resources there. Chris, do you see the question in the chat about the state and regional events?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think so. Usually, I was just trying to think of how do you get in contact if your state website isn't working. So I had a question in there, like which state and regional are you? Mezzacroa, because you can reach out to me and I could put you in touch. But I think generally speaking, you don't have to be a member of the state and regional to attend. Again, it's just a nice way to kind of organize. And again, ACRO, when we advertise a lot of different things, we're not really checking to see if you're, have that ticket to those events. And for state and regionals, it's pretty low key. They're just say, if you want to meet with some people from your state and regional, this is where we're going to be. But you can take them up on the offer and you don't have to go. You're not required to go to any of these events. It's your call. So I hope I answered the question, but yeah, just let me know, I guess, which state and regional, and we can make sure that you get connected so that you kind of know what they're planning to do. Like for Illinois, that's where most of my professional career has been, even though I work in Indiana now, most of my network is in Illinois. They just reserved a room at like 6:30 to 7:30 at the Gaylord, and they just, hey, stop by. I'm going to guess that most state regionals are going to be on site, as what Becky mentioned, because it's a good walk to get into town for those events. But some of them might be more adventurous in going into Aurora, or maybe even Denver. I don't know, but I think with the Gaylord Resort, everything is going to be there. So I'm going to guess that most things are going to be there. And so at the Experience Acro, you want to make sure that you get connected. And I think I remember there was something, thank you, Jamie, New York, New Jersey had some leadership turnover from what I recall. So one of my other hats is chair of the State and Regional Relations Committee, so I can try and do some sleuthing and get back to you.
One thing we haven't talked about that I will just mention, because it was always like my most dreaded part, and I got my first vendor email today. When you register for Acro, you often get vendor emails. And to me, that was always very intimidating to go to the vendor hall and talk to people. But it's something that I always make a point of doing, because oftentimes, like, I'm in a situation where I might not be in charge of purchasing, but somebody on my campus may have gone out and seen this wonderful four-year planner and is interested in it. So I usually go just to keep abreast of what's going on with the products and the technology as it's available and changing, and get ideas for my campus. But it's also a nice opportunity to see vendors that you currently have as well, to advocate or bring up problems or challenges or advocate for new functionality. And so I am really strategic about how I manage the vendor sessions. We love our vendors. They contribute a lot to our conference, and they help us every day. But that can be really intimidating for me. Don't be surprised that you're going to get emails. You don't have to accept every vendor invitation for dinner, lunch, cocktail hour. I would be really strategic about what you accepted and what you wouldn't. You don't, just kind of depending on who you are. Like, I need some downtime after the conference, so on any given meeting. So I just want you to think through like your approach to navigating the vendor hall. Chris may have additional thoughts on that, because I know you presented on this, but don't be afraid to go in there. You will get emails. Do bring your business cards. And as intimidating as it is, you can always get some good free swag, if nothing else. And many times you get ideas about what's out there that's cool, or can maybe lovingly corner an existing vendor that you have an outstanding question with and make the use of the time there.
Yeah, I'll piggyback to what Erin said. It's an opportunity for you to be an influencer at your institution. When you go into the vendor hall and you get to see all these cool things that they're doing or offering or being, you can be an influencer at your institution saying, I met with X vendor, and this is the great thing they're doing, and I think it'd be really great for our institution because of X. So go into the vendor hall feeling like you're an influencer at your institution.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I shared, for my strategy is usually I stop by the booths of vendors that we already have relationships with at our institution, just to meet and greet, say, hey, I'm the registrar. And sometimes, if you are having a problem, that could be something you could raise, like, hey, we're experiencing this, and you can get some free on-site consultation, depending on other things there too. So, and I'm not shy about it. I also use the vendor tables to stock up on my pens for the upcoming school year. So there's a lot of pens.
Are there questions, comments, concerns?
Just one of the things too, sorry, just real quick about the vendor, like Clearinghouse is going to be there. So that's definitely, they're one of the larger ones. Parchment's also probably another large booth. Acro will have a very large presence too. If you want to meet with any Acro staff, you can meet with, Miss Becky here and get to know her. And she's great as she coordinates this whole event. And the Acro staff is really great to work with and get your questions answered. So just other things to stop by.
I have a hot tip from messing around last night on the app. The Gaylord offers an app. I don't know if you've ever been to a Gaylord hotel, but the first one I went to was in Nashville and I was lost the entire time. There is now an app where you can select the property that you're at and say, I want to go to this restaurant from this room. And it literally will tell you step by step, in 11 feet, take a right, then go straight until you see this. And so we talked in the first meeting a lot about like navigation strategies, and Molly kind of alluded to it when she shared her horror story about wearing high heels. These are big facilities, and so take the time to get where you need to go. If you see me sweating, you know I didn't heed my own advice. But there's also like use the Whova app or the Gaylord app to navigate. Sometimes I like to scope out places before I go there. So I've been known to skulk around on a Saturday or on a Sunday afternoon after registration just to kind of get the lay of the land. But leave yourself plenty of time and use your navigation tools. Because it can be a little nerve-wracking if you're like, I'm late to this session and it's Leroy Rooker and it's FERPA and I have all these problems and now I can't find it, right? So there's a lot out there, but definitely don't underestimate the time it might take you to get from A to B.
And bring your swimsuit, because if you're a guest at the Gaylord, the full water park is available to you. And we were teasing our program chair, Rob Hornberger, when we were there a couple months ago for our site visit. He went down the slide and got a lot of grief about him and all the 11-year-old boys being in line for the slide at the Gaylord Rockies. So it's a fun place when you're not in your sessions. You can hang out at the pool.
That's funny. I have a question about the caucuses. Is there a military caucus that's available? I'm not, one of the gentlemen that was in my position went one year and said something about a military caucus, but I wasn't seeing anything on the website.
I don't
So
believe there's.
I
Oh.
think I can answer that one. Whoops,
Okay,
there
Ross.
we go. Hello. So for those of you that do not know me, I was kind of hanging out incognito. My name is Rosalind Perry, and I am the registrar at Allegheny College. And I am the current chair of member engagement. And thank you all for attending this session. I look forward to seeing you all in Aurora. And I am the vice president-elect for Access and Equity, starting with this annual meeting in Aurora. So regarding the military caucus, we have had quite a bit of interest in establishing a military caucus. There was a gentleman that was kind of leading the charge, and it has just been slow to get off the ground. There's some procedures and processes that we have to go through when we're talking about establishing a new caucus. So at this point, we do have quite a bit of interest in the military caucus. It's just going to be a matter of when we're going to be able to get that caucus going. So I would say just stay tuned and keep an eye out. And as soon as hopefully that military caucus has been established, there will be announcements and we would be able to let you know. But as of right now, no, we do not have a military caucus. What I will do though is put in a plug for our Young Professionals Caucus, which is our newest caucus that will be rolling out at this annual meeting. We actually are scheduling this caucus, because it's so new, will not have a general session, but this caucus will have a stop and share time slot where folks who are interested will be able to go over and talk with the incoming chair of that caucus, and she'll just share some insights on this. This was totally her baby. She did the proposal for it, answered all the questions. It's her vision, and the board just voted to approve it. So she will be representing the Young Professionals Caucus at the annual meeting via stop and share. So we're excited about that, and we're excited for her that this has come to fruition for her. So
I did put in the chat, there are a bunch of ACRO listservs that are very active. I am not a member of the military connected one, but I did put it in there. So you can see that's a way that we can support each other throughout the year. And there's a lot of good engagement that happens there. I have floated several kind of random questions, comments, and concerns to that group, and they've always been really supportive in terms of like the ACRO general one, but I know there's a military one there. I'll also note that we have done a good job receiving sessions about military provision of services to military students. And so if you want to search for those sessions, it's under group 3 in the on the ACRO website. And I think you'll hopefully be pleased. It's a point that we've been really focusing on to kind of get sessions from. So there should be something there for you as well.
Great. And Rosalind, this is more probably for you. I'm wondering if the gentleman that you referenced that was trying to get the military caucus started, I'm wondering if that was who I replaced in my job.
Well, if you
because he did mention.
if you want to email me, rperry@allegheny.edu, we can talk offline. That's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
it was rperry at
Allegheny.
where's it? Okay, allegheny.edu.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Rosalind. I
In chat.
appreciate it.
No problem.
Unfortunately, I can't see the chat because I'm on my phone because I can't get my Zoom to work. So what you guys are putting in chat, I don't have visibility on, so I apologize for that.
That's okay. If you go to the ACRO website and you search listservs, you can find some there. And so maybe subscribing to that will help. But you'll also see us on site. So anything you've forgotten or need clarification on, I'm sure you'll see us in a few weeks in Aurora, and you can ask us there too.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Everyone's feeling good. Everybody's ready. Like the countdown has begun. I'm ready. I need to get out of here. I'm getting spring fever, people.
Cabin fever, spring fever.
I'm definitely ready too.
Cool.
Someone asked me, what does it feel like to be 2 weeks out from the meeting? Or to me, it feels like 2 weeks because we get there so much earlier. And I said, it kind of is like when you're in the ocean and the wave is just coming behind you, you're riding it or you're falling down. We're going to ride it. That's the goal. That's the plan.
That's awesome.
Is there anything that we missed or any questions you have that did not get answered yet? If so, please put them in the chat because we want to make sure you're all feeling good about and ready to come to the conference.
If it helps, one of the questions we asked in the registration is this your first ACRO meeting? And over 400 people said yes. So you are not the first one. Everyone's going to look like they know everyone there. And you're, like, oh my gosh, like you are not the only new kid at the party. Like a third of the people there are new kids at the party. So please just remember that there's a lot of people that are feeling just as like, oh my gosh, when you arrive. So I wanted to share that as well. It's a really friendly, inviting group.
There's a question about the weather. And I can just kind of regurgitate. So one of the people on the board is on the local arrangements committee, and they're at University of Colorado. So they said in Denver area, it could be sunny and mild. It could be snowing. It could be rainy. I mean, Denver, Colorado gets all 4 seasons. So you probably want to check closer to the day of what the weather will be like. But the nice thing is that the Gaylord is all enclosed, right? So you don't really need to go outside. So I would, I guess, remind you of, you'll be indoors. I mean, if you want to go outside, you certainly are welcome to. No one's going to stop you from doing that. But just for like, if you want to, the rooms can get cold. So you might want to make sure that you have a sweater with.
I would also say, please come up and introduce yourselves to me and to Aaron and to Chris, and we are eager and happy to meet and greet you at Aurora and looking forward to it. So if you have a question, grab us. We will be around.
Yep. Yeah, I echo that for Molly. We all, I mean, we're involved because someone first introduced us and connected us to ACRO. So, part of the reason why we're on this call is because we want to give back. And so you're not going to bother us if you come up to us and say, hey, I'm such and such, please introduce us, because there's 40 some of you on the call. And I'm sorry, I don't have all your faces memorized. And so feel free to come up to me or to any one of us and say, hey, I was on the call, wanted to introduce myself. That's great. And if you want to meet somebody, chances are we could at least introduce you to someone else to start that networking process, because that's how it goes. There was a good question about the honors awards reception. I think that's Monday night. It's at the ACRO Awards reception, an honorees reception, I believe.
It is, and it's by invitation. So an email invitation went out to those that are invited to the honoree reception. There's an awards ceremony and there's honorees. So it's pretty small. It is scheduled for Monday night. So if you think that you were supposed to be invited and didn't see that email come by, please email. You can email me directly at fauxb@acro.org or just meetings@acro.org. But it's not like the opening reception Sunday night where it's planned for 1,000 people. It's a much smaller event.
I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge one of our board members on the call, our Vice President at Large, Dr. Connie Shipman Newsome. Connie, would you like to say a few words before we all depart? Give our first-time attendees some sage advice.
I'm going to get you when I see you, Roz. Hello, everyone. Extemporaneous speaking is not my thing, but I'm very glad to see so many people on this type of call and excited about coming to the conference. I am trying to think and talk quickly. It's already 2:56, who knew? But look forward to it. Look forward to it. Make the most of the events. Definitely go to the, as first-time attendees, make sure you go to the Experience ACRO event. If you are law school related, please go to the NELSO welcome reception. It starts just before the ACRO Experience, so go to the NELSO welcome reception. Do some networking there, and then head over to the ACRO Experience because it's going to be just more to take in. If you see anyone with the board member badges on or the staff member badges, or like Molly said, Molly, Chris, and Aaron, feel free to come up to any of us, ask any questions. If we cannot answer, we can normally find someone that can answer, or we can take your information down and get back to you. But I'm just incredibly excited to see so many people up here, and I can't wait to see you all in Colorado. And if you're huggers, reach out. All right.
Is Connie still with us? Is Connie Shipman still with us? Yeah, there she is. Connie, did you see there's a question? Someone's asking about law school events if they're not yet members.
Yes, sure. Yeah, you'll see us in the hey, LaShawn, yeah. You will see us in you'll see anything law school related. I mean, the NELSO welcome, the National Network of Law School Officers, NELSO. You'll see the NELSO welcome reception in the program. It's going to be at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon. The NELSO business breakfast and opening session is on Monday morning at 8:30. I mean, at 8 o'clock, excuse me. So there's one less meal you have to worry about. Please come. It's a huge buffet. And then there are other sessions that are law school related, just to, kind of inform us in our profession. But you're certainly welcome to join us at the welcome event and then find out anything else you need to know.
There was a question about if we have any other Zoom sessions after March 13th. I'm sure there are, but I'm not sure there's anything specific for first-time attendees though.
I would say if you have any additional questions up until the time of the annual meeting, we kind of threw our email addresses in the chat. Please feel free to reach out and we will certainly get back to you. Try to answer your questions that you might have.
There are no silly questions. All questions are welcome. All right, it's 3 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here. I know I need to run to another meeting, but good to see you. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in Aurora.
Safe travels.